Good afternoon, folks. Hey, this is Jeff at Bestill Creations, and doing a little follow-up video on the subject again: Blackhorn powder and volume versus weight. And made a little video the other day, and it seems like I guess it stirred things up a little bit, and that definitely wasn't my intention. I was just trying to bring some clarity to the volume to weight discussion and just the way I see it, and everybody's got their own opinion, so we'll go with that. But I'm going to jump right into it and just show you something. So a little bit vague on the video. I didn't throw everything out, but I guess I should have. More details maybe, or more information, or just how I do it, actually do my process. And it comes about, really it comes about if you're switching lots of powder. That's really the gist of it. Some guys that may have a 5-pound jug, and I said this in the other video, but I don't know if too many people didn't hear it or what, but some people have 5-pound jug of powder, and let's say it's lot 32, and it's probably going to last them the rest of their lifetime. And by all means, I would definitely advise that person, when they find their load, whether it be by weight or volume, is stick with it. And if that's going to last you, if you're not going to be switching lots, it all comes down to lots switching. And everybody's like a big deal that the quality control of Western powder needs to be better. Yeah, I can argue that, but it's pretty simple. It's very, 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 very simple to fix, to get your answer that you're after, in my opinion. Second part of it was, everybody's asking, so what kind of powder dropper do you use, or what kind of rig do I need to buy, or what? My opinion, for years I did it, and you don't need to buy anything, and a couple very, very small pieces of equipment. I'm going to show you a couple that I've got. And the only reason I have these is because they will drop volume to me more accurately than I can do it by hand. But I can tell you, verifying like this piece of equipment at 120 by volume and dumping 120 by volume, if I do enough charges, that pretty much the average is going to be the same in weight. So do you need this? No, absolutely not. In my business, I throw a lot of charges, and this tool is handy just for confirmation on things. One thing about this is for black powder, and the little measuring device that it came with wasn't big enough. So I made this, and I've got it keyed in set at 120 grains of Blackhorn by volume. It'll throw it repeatedly, regardless of what lot I'm playing with. So I didn't want to have to change it back and forth. I've got another gun, a 40 cal I shoot Blackhorn in with paper patch lead bullets, and this thing is set at 90 degrees by volume. Do I need two? No, but I have this. I don't want to play with it. It's set. It's exactly set, and when I get lots of powder and throw it in there, I know exactly, and I'm going to get into that exactly how I do my weight. So, most people, I'm not telling you anything at all. But there's several people maybe newer to the sport, or it's just something different they want to try. Most guys with muzzleloader like to play around, and that's obviously why I got into all this process. So I did, right here, I got 10 charges of 31, 10 charges of lot 32, and 10 charges of 35. If I was going to do this on a full scale for myself, I may do 20, but just 10 for reference. And I did a chart for each one, and you're not gonna be able to see it, but I'm gonna do a breakdown. But lot 31 dumping 10 charges at 120 grains by volume, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. Averaged out, the weight was 87.5 grains per charge was the average of those 10. That's lot 31, 87.5. Lot 32, 89.5. That was an average of 10. And lot 35, 91.9. That's an average of 10 charges. So if you take the difference from 31 to 35, and I spoke of this the other day, that's literally 4.4 grains. And some will debate this, but I've come to the consensus of 1 grain of powder about by weight, 1 grain by weight is about 40, let's say around 40 feet per second, give or take. And I know that's a diminishing return as it gets higher and it starts out faster. Let's just use that for an average. Let's say 40 feet per second per grain. At 4.4, it's over 160 feet per second. But if you just dump them all by 120 by volume, your velocity window, as I spoke the other day, is going to stay the same. Now here becomes the issue with that conversation. Guys shooting 300 yards and in could care less. 200 yards and in, 100 yards zero, honestly, I could care less. I could shoot 120 right out of that machine all day long, and it's going to be more accurate than me hand dropping them. So I'll show you that process, but me hand dropping them in, let's say, lot 32, my highest charge was 90.7, the lowest was 88.1. That's 2.6 grains difference by hand dumping them. Now, when I come down here and take the average of those 10, it comes out to 89.5 for that lot of powder. I'm going to weigh all my charges at 89.5. Now I take out the second step of a variance and just by volume dropping. I would tell you that RCBS black powder one I have, or the RCBS the other one, Hornady, all of them, once you get your thimble set right, and if you keep the tub of that thing more than half full or full, so basically what I do is I'll fill it, I'll dump 20 charges, fill it, dump 20 charges, fill it, dump 20. I keep the same amount of head pressure on that. And if I keep that head pressure or the head weight of that powder in that canister or the storage part, believe it or not, that thing will dump usually inside of a grain, well, tighter than that, but within 6/10, let's say that. And you start talking 6/10, that's pretty accurate. But again, I want to take it to another level. So I'm going to show you something just real quick. The way I found that is the most consistent way. And I don't care how you dump volume. Your 120 and my 120 may be different. But if you're out at the range and you've got your little TC powder measure, you may have the one that's see-through. I don't care which one it is. The ones with the little wing nut or the little set screw, you can set individually increments. This just jumps in 10 grains. Somebody has one of these. It's a TC Magnum, and you're going to need that to get over 120 or thereabouts. Most of them will go from, I think, I don't even know what it is. They'll go up to 120 grains by volume. This thing will go from 80 to 150. And the only thing I don't like about the TC Magnum is it doesn't have a mark what it is. But any common sense, you just bottom it out is 80. The next click is 90. Second click is 100. Third click, 110. Blah, 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 on up to 150. So I've got mine marked with a permanent marker. It's fixed at 120. And I just, that's a reference tool for me. But I don't care what you're dumping it in. If you want to take one of these little charge tubes and you figure out the range that your charge is so-and-so volume, and you put a magic marker on there and you want to keep dumping to that load, well, that's fine. If it's shooting well for you, stay with it. But you want to take it to another level and take a little, you know, the key to any kind of shooting, obviously, or long-range shooting is consistency. And that becomes in your form, your shooting, you know, everything is about consistency, shot to shot consistency, your cleaning regimen or whatever it may be. So let me see if we can duplicate something here, and I'm just going to do it live just like it was. So let's say lot 31 this morning when I did the 10 came out with an average of 87.5 grains at 120 by volume. That was done by hand. I run 10 charges through my 120 by volume over here, and it came out at 87.4. It's within a tenth of what I did by hand. It's 10 shot at 10 dumps average, and out of a machine, it came out within 1/10 of each other on a 10 charge average. So this is how I do it. It's nothing fancy. I got a bowl with a handle and a dumping little spout on it. I take my volume measurement, and let's say I've been to the range and I came back and my gun is shooting really well at 120 grains by volume. And I just want to get a baseline weight for two reasons. Maybe it's when a lot of powder changes and you want to know if you want to weigh them. You're going to go back to this if you get a new lot of powder, and you're going to dump 10, 15, 20 charges and do an average weight. So this is the way I like to do it. This is Blackhorn powder, lot 31. Got the Pyrex spigot in it. I got this set for 120. I'm going to get my little tablet out here. And I got my little scale right here. And this could be a little cluttered for everybody just watching, but I'm going to do it the best I can. And so there's a conversation. Beam scale, I don't know. I'm not reloading high-end cartridge rounds, so I'm gonna trust my little digital scale here to be close enough for what I'm doing, because everything is in reference to me. I'm not going in a book and finding a max charge weight and taking a chance on overpressuring my rifle. I'm staying in the window of the 120, which is a recommended charge, and I want to know what it averages in weight. So I've got my powder, got a bucket here, and I got my 120, my thing. You can scale these out, put them in charge tubes, and then weigh them later. I'm just going to do it all right off the bat. So this is simply, I'm talking simply as I do it. I take my 120 by volume measure. I take my can with a dump spout. I dump it just literally as fast as I can. I don't care if it runs over into the bucket. That's what I got it for. I'm going to shave the top off so it's clean. That's a 120 dump charge. I'm going to put it in my little scale right here. And I'm going to write it down. It come out to 88.0 grains. I'm going to dump that in my little bucket. I'm going to take another one, dump it as fast as I can until it runs over. I'm going to scrape the top off of it. I'm going to dump it in my scale. Comes up to 88.3. Dump it in my bucket. My measure's empty. 120, I'm going to run it flat over. I'm going to scrape the top off clean. I'm going to dump it in my little scale. Come up to 87.2. Dump it in my little rig here at 120. Dump it on my scale. 87.4. Looks to me like it's right on track. We're just going to keep on going. Dump it in my thing, scrape the top off. Put it in my scale. 87.1. Dump it till it runs over. Scrape it off flat, 120. .2. See, that's 6 charges. I'll keep the video down. We'll just do, we're going to do 8. My 120, scraped it all flush. 120 grains by volume. 87.3. I've got her down. I'm dumping consistently. That's 7. Let's do 8. Clean it all flush. 120 grains by volume. I'm going to dump it in my little scale. 87.6. Alright, so that's 8 charges. I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to add those 8 charges together. Hit the wrong key. Alright. First one's 88. Second one 88.3. 87.2. 87.4. 87.1. 87.2. 87.3. 87.6. I'm going to divide that by 8. Those 8 charges, 120 by volume, lot 31, comes out to 87.5. Now I'm going to go back this morning, and it is exactly 10 charges. It's reversing my photo. It's exactly 87.5. When I did 10 earlier, my machine dumped 10 at 87.4 average, and I just did 8 more 87.5 average. So that comes out consistent over and over and over. Now, if you look at that, if I take the high, I had an 88.3 that I dumped by volume, and my low is 87.1. So if I was going to the range by volume, I'd have a difference dumping charges at just to going off of that baseline of 1.2 grains by volume. Is that going to matter at 200 yards and in? No, absolutely not. But when you change from, say, lot 31 to lot 35, and there's 4.4 grains, and then you put a variance of a grain or two in there, you could be as much as 6 grains difference from a low charge of by volume to a high. So what I'm getting at, once you find the volume that shoots in your gun, I recommend everyone to sit down, throw 20 charges by volume. I don't care how you do it, just do it the same, and write down that weight. So as the day comes when you get a whole new lot of powder, you sit down and you throw 20 charges just the same way you've been doing it, and weigh those. And now if you want to key in and really tighten that groups up and accuracy, then you start playing and using that weight per that volume of 120 measurements per that jug of powder. And I'm going to write it right on my jug of powder. This here will be 87.5 if I want to shoot 120. If I want to do lot 35 and I want to shoot 120 by volume, I'm going to shoot 91.9. So that's how I do it. Fast, simple. Take my can, I give me a funnel, I take my little mixing bowl here, then I just dump that right back in my can, put my jug up. I use a little cleaning patch on the lid just to help seal a little bit. Squeeze that can down, I'm going to put it up. I'm going to mark that at 120 would be 87.5. Hopefully that helps. Like I say, I'll do them, if I'm doing a lot of them, I'll just dump 20 charges in my little charge tubes like Blackhorn. And that's another thing I'm going to touch on right here. Let me just talk about these being wrong. So I dumped that. That one would read, if I was going to speculate, and reads about 116. That one actually reads about 118. That's not a good one. About 115. About 115. 18. So what I'm getting at is these marks are not really truly relevant to a true volume measurement. But if you want to use that for your gun, problem is sharing information on these public forums, and this is the load I'm shooting, and it may not shoot the same for the next guy or whatever it is. His technique may be different. You know, you can put, let's just do it. I know this is stupid for a lot of you. You've done this 100,000 times and know what I'm talking about. Let's say there's 120. And as I'm filling it, I want to tap and tap and tap and tap and tap and tap and tap, and I can get that thing down where I can set it at 110 and it's still inside that measure. I don't care how you do it if you want to tap it enough. Some of the guys at Friendship, we talk and laugh about, you could do your charges and they're around, let's say 118, 120, and you have them sitting in your load box or your trailer or truck or whatever like this, upright, which they would be, and you drive 300 miles or 500 miles across country and you get out and that thing looks like it's 100 grain charge in it. It settles out. So, you know, there's just stuff, you know, it's all about technique. It comes down to consistency. Like I say, I don't care how you do it. If you want to use this little tube and use the 120, use that as your frame of reference. It really doesn't matter as long as you do it the same over and over and over and over. But hopefully this gives a little light You don't need the equipment. I don't know how, I must have got 20 texts and several phone calls of what kind of piece of equipment do I need to buy, Jeff, because I really want to try to do the weight to volume thing. And I think that's cool what you're doing. And, you know, guys, I build guns. I build a lot of guns. So having some of this equipment just cuts down on time and some of the stuff I do. But do you need it? No. You can get by just simply super fine with just a cheap measure. You can use the Blackhorn tubes, and like I said, you can use it just so as you know where to start, where your reference point is. You could use that in the field, and you find out, hey, I'm at like 105 and it's shooting great, and I just put me a mark on that thing, and that's where I want to load to my volume. It's kind of hard to load to that, and then you got to trickle it up to it, and I tell you that will change it. I would have no problem whatsoever, and I've done it. We've done it. It's actually worked. We messed up on one gun, had the charges messed up, and we're at Friendship. No way to do, and don't have our equipment. We don't have anything. I literally found a bucket and dumped charges by this little measure. Dumped it 120, scraped it off, put it in load tubes. We did like 100 and some charges, and it shot really well. Shot well. So you can do it with a volume measure. You just got to have your procedure the same that what's shooting with your rifle. But that's how you cross over from lot to lot to lot, velocity to volume. The thing with going to weight, as I said before, and I'll repeat it again, the thing going by weight, when you're doing by volume, you can have, in my opinion, that machine will probably throw within a grain weight on volume. Doing it by hand, I'm not better than probably 2 grains by weight in a 120 volume. So when you find an average, like I said, when you find an average of your 10 or 20 charges, if you're doing it by this or a machine, and you do an average weight, and then when you start weighing it, you take the variable out of the volume measurement. Volume is volume, but do you tap it down? If you trickle it in there a grain at a time and fill that to 120, and you weigh it, and you dump, let's just throw that out there while we're just talking for fun. I haven't done this in a long time, and I wouldn't even know the answer still. So let's just do it for fun. Set my scale up here to 0. And I'm going to take and just trickle powder in this 120 by volume. It's about as slow as I can trickle it in there. I'm going to run it over, scrape it off flat, 120, bucket in the way. So remember earlier that weighed 87.5 average. Now I just trickled that in there, and that charge is, I'm going to write it down, is 92.3, trickling it full. And I'm pretty sure where this is going to come out. So I dump it fast as I can, scrape the top off. .7. Remember our average earlier was 87.5. Almost hit the number, 87.7, 87.5 by dumping it the same way and the same way and the same way. It does matter. So I just changed that charge weight by 4.6 grains by weight of how I put it in that tube. So there's problems with volume unless you're using one of these fine machines, and there's problems just going by sheer weight from lot to lot to lot. So this is a way of, you're kind of double hitting it. We're going to minimize the volume thing by dumping them the same way, and then we're going to minimize it again by weighing our charges. I know I'm going on about that, but that's a big, there's just bubbles all over in that process. So, you know, and I don't think it's any different. You know, I mean, black powder, I'm starting to play with that again. I got away from that years ago. I'm starting to play with it again. I think they're going to be interesting to find. That changes lots. I'll be interested to find. Smokeless powder is so energetic, so dangerous, you know, I mean, in different ways, that I think the quality control there is much tighter. than what we're seeing with this. But irrelevant, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So hope I brought some good information there. Just hope you enjoyed your Sunday. I got to enjoy church online, which is very different, but still got to hear the Word of God this morning, which was great. Our worship team. And if anybody don't have something, jump online. You can go on Bridge of Hope Worship Center, Milan, Indiana. And there's some really good online services there, or messages, and maybe something to trick. But anyway, God bless you. You have a great Sunday afternoon. Hope you get rested up, ready for a big week if you got to go to work. And if you're at home, just stay tight to your family and be safe, everyone. And just be safe out there. I know I first thought this virus thing was a little overblown, but lately it's starting to hit home. People we know. We lost one guy from church. So anyway, just stay safe, everybody out there, and do what they're asking us to do for a while, and maybe it'll shake out. But hopefully that helped you. Have a great day and enjoy your shooting. God bless you.